Mr. Levine, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Now, you've complained a lot about traffic. I complained about traffic. You arrived 30 minutes late for your scheduled interview. Were you held up by traffic?
Well, I'll tell you something. We're on a great Florida bus tour. We're actually going from living room to living room all across the state of Florida. And we have traffic all across the state of Florida. It's unfortunate. I think the way we solve it is we actually invest in public transportation, and that's something we need to begin doing. And I think it's something that every Floridian would agree we need to do it.
So you are concerned about congestion, you're concerned about the environment, you're very concerned about jobs. Let's talk about where those three things intersect. Did the governor make the right or wrong decision in dismantling the Department of Community Affairs?
I wouldn't dismantle. I would make better. Talk about public schools.
But wait a minute, it already has been dismantled.
Well,
so you would bring it back?
I would make it better. I would change it. I would focus it on the people.
We get a Department of Community Affairs again. We get state growth management again. Let me tell you what
you'd have under Governor Levine. You'd have a state that would focus on the people.
And to those who would say state growth management bureaucracy was a nightmare, it was over-regulated, that local governments know what's best instead of politicians and bureaucrats in Tallahassee, if you want to bring the Department of Community Affairs back and revive growth management, to them, you would say what?
Craig, let me tell you this. What I believe is what's happening in Tallahassee reminds me of what's happening in the Soviet Union with Moscow under central planning with Khrushchev. Somehow Tallahassee thinks that they know best.
By that logic, that argument suggests then that you would not bring back state growth management and that you would leave it to local jurisdictions exactly as the governor has done.
Greg, I can tell you this. We do know that we need help out of Tallahassee. We do know that we need to make sure that local governments have an absolute say in their own growth patterns. You know, I just don't necessarily always believe about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I think that the government can help, but we need to let the local governments lead the way. That's the most important thing.
You're also pushing for a higher minimum wage. What would it be? How about $11 an hour? Would that satisfy you?
Know what? I can tell you this. Every city in our state has a different cost of living. I can tell you on Miami Beach, the way it costs and what it costs to buy a hamburger is different than what it costs to buy a hamburger in Pensacola. So in Miami Beach, we decided to raise our minimum living wage over a graduated period of time all the way up in 4 or 5 years now to $13.31 an hour. Yes, we need to lift the Florida minimum living wage. Because Craig, one thing you know, I know, you can't live on $8.25 an hour.
So what level?
What's the level needs to be what's acceptable in the state.
And to you,
12,
what do you consider
13, 14, it could be 15. But I think we raise it to a level that's acceptable to everyone across the state.
So you're looking at $12 or higher?
You know what I'm looking at? I'm looking at the rate that makes sense in the state of Florida.
Oh, I'm asking you what makes sense. I'm trying to pin you down.
Craig, it could be 12, it could be 13, it could be 14, it could be 15.
It could be 16.
No, I don't think it needs 60, but I think we need to work. I think we need to work on it.
What is the number?
Craig,
you're the governor. You're the king. You can sign it into law today. If you could wave magic wand, what would it be?
You're not the king when you're the governor, okay?
In your speech, fellow lawmakers, I want to raise the minimum wage to fill in the blank.
Craig, you know what? I'll shoot high. I'll shoot at 15, and if we get to 12 or 13, that would work.
Do you support the question on the ballot this year to raise the property tax exemption?
You know what? I think that we probably should do that. I think if we can give relief to people in taxes, I think it's a good idea.
Should we get rid of no-fault insurance with our automobiles, as some in the legislature would like us to do?
You know what? You hear both sides of that issue. It's not something, Craig, that either way that I really, truly am that focused on.
With President Trump in the White House, the posture of the legislature being what it's been for years, is the effort to expand Medicaid in Florida dead for the foreseeable future?
No, I don't think so. Listen,
if you're elected, how do you bring it to life?
We're going to figure out a program. Craig, I believe strongly that everyone in the state of Florida needs to be insured.
Would you commit state dollars to expanding it? And if so, how do you pay for it?
I think we need to do whatever it needs to be. I think it's something we have to look at. We have an $88 billion a year budget, Craig. We got a lot of money there, okay? Comes down to priorities.
Did state leaders make the right decision in suing the state of Georgia over access to river water and heading into Apalachicola Bay?
Yeah, sure. I mean, listen, I'm not an expert on river water. I'm not an expert in that specific area, but I think that it sounds to me like it's a big issue for that part of our state, and it's something that's been long brewing.
Well, more specifically, the special master ruled that Florida goofed by suing the wrong people, that this is not an issue for Georgia,
Craig,
it's the Corps of Engineers.
If you had a legislature from Tallahassee who's been in politics his whole life, and there's so many of them, you can get into the real specifics of that question. They could probably talk to you all day. You know, as an entrepreneur, I could tell you this. I'm elected governor. I'm going to get the river expert, the water expert, and I'm going to let them figure out how to get the best thing for the state of Florida.
You've also called for a free college education. Is this something you would pursue if elected governor? And if so, how would you pay for it?
I'll tell you what we need to do. I know one thing. You're on Team Florida. You live in our state. You're a resident. Your parents don't have the right kind of wealth to send you to college. We don't know who the next Einstein is. We need to make sure that if you go to one of our state universities and you can't afford it, that you do not have large college debt or any college debt in the future, as long as you commit to staying in our state and working in our state for a certain amount of years. And I'll answer that question the same way I answered it before. We got a big budget.
But you've already advocated just a moment ago for a significant tax cut. Money is no gift from heaven. It means you would have to take from somewhere else. Where would you take from to fund these initiatives?
Craig, like I said before, as an entrepreneur, we're creative, we're innovative, we find solutions to problems.
Is there a specific program you think we're spending too much money on that you would cut?
No, I can tell you some programs that we need to invest in. I know that resiliency is a big issue in the state of Florida. I know that we cannot afford not to invest in making our state resilient. I know that we need to access federal funds to make sure that our cities are here for the future on the coast. It's most important for us. So nothing specific.
Mr. Levine, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.